Good evening. This is Dr. Curry.
This is Colby Owens.
And welcome to The Source. This week, Colby, we got a whole lot going on, a whole lot of different stuff going on. So I really want to jump right into the show and talk about a few things. Now, the Newcastle County Police Department reported that they went to a house in Newcastle County to investigate a domestic dispute. And then it ended up being the cop shooting somebody, the guy getting in a car running. What do we know about that?
Yeah, so at around like 2:30 in the morning, the cops were called to a complex because of a domestic dispute. During the altercation, the officers did fire their firearms and hit Tyrese multiple times, the name of the young 25-year-old who actually ended up, after being hit by the bullets, ran outside and stole a police vehicle in which a pursuit followed. I don't mean to smile or chuckle a little bit, but I just think it's crazy that one, he was able to get into a police vehicle and take off, but that pursuit continued on 95 all the way up to Delaware County, where another collision occurred just a little past the Commodore Barry Bridge. Wow. So again, this was a multi-state police chase that ensued after this, but they were able to arrest him and then he was then later taken to Crozier Hospital, which was closer to where
How bad was the shoot? Where did they shoot him at? You know? Does it say anything about that?
So it doesn't say where he was shot at, but he is in stable condition.
Okay.
So it was not life-threatening, and I think that was also with the adrenaline going.
That's great to say, yeah.
While he was driving and everything, so that probably kept him going even more.
Yeah, but for you, when you said you don't mean to laugh, it's not that right now it's unrealistic.
Yeah,
that's why it's like more like, what do? You laugh, you cry, you scream, or what? I mean, at one time when I was younger, I was scared to even go near a police car. But a person is now being shot at by the police. He jumps in a police car and does a pursuit. That is a little bit fearless, I think. It's
a new day and age, and we get that and everything, but for someone to be so bold to do something like that, it's sad, but it's not unique to only here. There's actually been a lot more police chases where individuals are taking police cars that are being highlighted on social media and also on regular media all across this country, so that may also play into it a little bit more as well. People see different ideas and say, hey, I could do the same thing.
And when you said it got almost to the Delaware County line, is what you were saying earlier, where it almost went into Pennsylvania, or it almost went into Jersey?
No, they were into Pennsylvania, heading towards the Commodore Barry Bridge.
Oh, wow. That's a little frightening. And the collision, is there any more information on the collision that occurred on 95? Or
that one officer that was involved with that collision was taken to the Christiana Hospital. They're in stable condition, and no other injuries were reported.
Okay, so and right now he's under the custody of the police, of the law officials. Yes. Is he in Delaware or is he in?
That I don't know. I think it would be Delaware because that's where the crime originated at, but. I'm pretty sure it's Newcastle County had the jurisdiction to go over.
That's really interesting. And then also we had something going on with Glasgow High School this week where a student was arrested for fighting, but he used a stun gun.
Yes. So there was a fight that took place at the high school back on March the 26th. And the fight included the young 16-year-old and two 15-year-olds. It escalated to a fist fight where the 16-year-old then pulled out a taser and tased both the other two 15-year-olds that were involved in the altercation. After school staff kind of separated the students, they took away the taser, and then that's when a warrant was obtained for the suspect, who was the 16-year-old who turned himself in 2 days later.
Yeah, now imagine, this is why it's so important that we have a control over the gun violence, the gun period. Because imagine if that was a gun, a regular gun, how much more damage would have been done. Well, we still know the real damage that was done with just a stun gun, because there's some electrical things that could be going on with a person's body. But it's just really sad that where would he get it from? He's 15, 16.
I mean, you could get him pretty much anywhere now.
Really?
You could go to Cowtown. You can go to all different places. They do. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Our world is getting much more dangerous.
Yeah. So again, that's just some of the things that kids have to deal with during this time and age.
And during my time, I don't seem like I'm from a dinosaur era. We used our hands a whole lot. You know, if we couldn't beat, it used to be called a fear win. You know, it wasn't a gun win or a knife win. It was like your fist. If you couldn't beat the person, then you kind of like lost. It took the L and moved on. Now it's like, I gotta kill you. I gotta destroy you, and whatever we have, we're going to use to do it. That's just really sad. But the violence, we really need to do something with violence prevention in our state, in our city, and especially in the inner city. But this is a high school where they should be preparing themselves for college, for better lives, and they are fighting and then using weapons. It's just not good. Just not good. The last thing I want to talk about in this segment that's really kind of disturbing to me, and I know you are part of the NAACP, but there's a historic Black church right in Newark, where one of the tagline of the article was, "We're not going anywhere," where their church was vandalized. What do you know about that?
Yeah, so this is a Delaware, the state Delaware historical preservation of this church. It was one of the first African American churches. Wow. I believe it opened its doors in the 1700s or something like that. But the church itself, on Easter Sunday, as individuals were coming in, they noticed spray paint on the exterior walls of the building that said N-word, said, you're monkeys, all this other stuff in vulgar language, written all over the building. This is not the first time this has happened in this area, the Iron Hill, Newark area. There was an incident just a few months ago where the museum out there, the African American museum out there, was vandalized, where the walking trail that had been dedicated to the African Americans of that area was also vandalized. The placard was vandalized. So again, this is the third incident to happen in the last few years. So again, we are very upset to see this continue to happen, but we know that we must come together as a community and work with both the pastor of the church, and I believe the church is Methodist. Work with the pastor of the church, work with the parishioners, and it's not a huge congregation, right? It's about 40 to 50 people who still go there, but they still go there to worship their Lord. So again, it gives us an opportunity to come together as a community, but then also realize that we're still fighting a lot of racist tropes that we've been dealing with for decades now. There was, all different things written across there, KKK, y'all should die, stuff like that. And again, it just reminds us that people feel so bold right now, that they think that they can go and vandalize things. Now, church was canceled on Easter because they didn't know what else had been done to the building for the safety of everyone. But again, like the bathroom windows were broken. I don't believe anything was taken from the inside of the church, but I do know that at this moment they were still trying to just go through and make sure everything was still in place.
Do you know if there's somebody who may be interested in that property? Because sometimes intimidation is so that they can take control of a property, a piece of land. I know they don't care about the church because they can tear that down.
Well, no, they can't. So St. Daniel's is a national, it's on the National Registry for Historic Places. Being there over, 200 years and everything, and still in operation. So again, I don't think they're going to go anywhere, but I don't know if someone's interested in the land. I could definitely follow up with the pastor just to see. Because
changing the name, if they had to keep the building, because like I said, now you correct me, but they can't just tear it down. But just being able to say they own a historical facility. But I'm just interested in knowing who, I'm sometimes a little naive. I believe that people naturally are good people. They just do bad things sometimes. But that is outright evil.
And this is me. This is not the church. This is not the police. This is not anyone else. But I think is someone who lives close to it.
Yeah.
Due to the fact that the museum, which is the old African American schoolhouse, is called the Iron Hill Museum, have been vandalized, which is right very close to this. Has been vandalized multiple times over the last 4 years since the George Floyd protests. This church has been broken into, and individuals have stolen stuff in the past within the last 2 years, multiple times. So again, this is someone who lives close. Yeah. This is someone who has a vendetta and does not like African Americans, and will continue to target this area until they're caught. Now, from all these incidents, from the Iron Hill, from the trail, and from the church being broken into, the police have never caught someone. So hopefully this is the opportunity for them to finally catch whoever is doing this.
I hope that the NAACP hold their foot to the fire, because if they have never caught anyone, it's really because of probably a lack of effort. And I'm saying that, whether people want to buy it or not, because normally we got cameras everywhere, we got surveillances everywhere. And obviously it may be somebody who is close to the system, because they probably know where cameras and everything is. But this is just evil. And I'm not going to back down on that. This is evil. And I'm surprised, and I don't know what the NAACP is going to do in addition to working with the pastor, the parishioners, and things of that nature. But something needs to be done to highlight this, because we talk about, and people like to throw out black on black crime, but there's a different element when it's racist. I'm not saying that there's a difference between if a white person doing something, a black person doing something, but when it's deliberate. They're using the N-word. They're saying things, doing things, trying to intimidate. And, a lot of this, and I don't care, it has to do with Trump emboldening people to feel like, okay, it happens. I'll be viewed as a hero, as opposed to really a criminal that they really are.
Well, I agree with you. And I know almost 2 years ago, me, you, and Jay had the conversation about black on black crime, and how I don't believe in black on black crime. I believe in crime of proximity, right? Okay. So you're more likely to commit a crime for people that you live closer to, which are usually people who look like you, right? So just across the board, percentage wise, white on white, Hispanic on Hispanic, and black on black crime are identical. Now, what is quote unquote sexy in the media is black on black, right? Because they love to demonize black people. Now, speaking of your former president, because he was never mine, Donald Trump, it's interesting you bring that up, because just the other day he was at a rally and he said, would you prefer a black president or a white president? Well, of course, a white president, because they're more knowledgeable. Speaking of himself, and again, this underlining competition that he had with President Barack Obama, but he was always too scared to run against President Barack Obama, because we know how that result would have came out. President Obama would have still won Florida. He would have still won North Carolina. He would have still won Iowa, and he probably would have still won Ohio as well too. So again, Trump never challenged him. Remember, Trump was the architect behind, where's his birth certificate? Because we can't have an educated black man run for president here who's from America. He must be from somewhere else. Trump has time and time again, instead of doing stuff for everyone, he has tried to isolate different groups of people, whether it's Muslims, whether it's Hispanic people, whether it's black people, whether it's women, whether it's LGBTQ. He has picked them all in different isolated buckets and targeted them, and praises the work he does to tear down different communities. He's talked about how Roe versus Wade was overturned because of him, because he stole 2 Supreme Court justices' seat with the help of Mitch McConnell. Again, so, people see that. People see that in the media. You have individuals who are still pushing the fact that he is the president of the United States right now, that Joe Biden did not win the election. You have people who are pushing that the election was stolen because of voter fraud, but the only voter fraud that they found in certain states where individuals who have multiple houses who were elected Republicans in offices voted in both the state that they own their primary resident and the state they own their rental property in as well too, or their summer home in as well too, in red states, in states that Trump won, and Trump didn't care about that. So again, that's what we're dealing with right now, and I think as you see more and more of this across the board, and I have a point that I want to add to mine a little later on, is individuals, especially younger individuals, right? We saw this in 2016. We saw this in 2020. They are very impressionable when it comes to a figurehead like Donald Trump being at the top of the ballot and getting so much paid media and those super PACs who are putting in ads attacking different demographics, and they feel comfortable doing that. This will be the first election where Twitter or X is not a publicly owned entity, so we will see probably even more misinformation put out on X. This will be the most expensive election ever, with almost $1 billion coming in from each side for this election. So you will see a lot of misinformation out there, which will have ripple effects all the way down to our schools, and how kids are interacting. We saw this at high schools across the state in 2020 and 2021, coming back from virtual learning as well too, and having a whole generation, right? Not a whole generation, but a whole subset of kids in a generation who grew up virtually, right? They were in the school building, in high school buildings, right? They may have been sophomores now, missed their whole freshman year, it was virtual, who are now in the same mindset of an 8th grader or a 7th grader, now in a high school setting, with a more diverse setting than their elementary schools or middle schools were. So again, that integration was not there, so therefore it caused a lot of issues, and I fear that will happen again in 2024 going into 2025.
Yeah, I've done a lot of, and since we were speaking of Donald Trump, I did a lot of research trying my best to figure out some things, and I just can't get it. He's one of those puzzles that no piece fit right. But he's still become effective, though, in his message to people who feel disenfranchised and things of that nature. But one of the things that I'm really concerned about, and I watched the judges, some appointed some by Republicans, some appointed by Democrats, and I watched how it seemed like to be consistent until we got to Florida. This judge in Florida, it appears that she is, and I can't remember her name right now, but she's kind of buying into delay. And I just don't understand. Now, that's what you call tearing up the judicial system. He's already lambasting it. He's already repeating constantly how wrong it is. But when she's doing what she's doing, and why did they give her a pass saying that she's just grossly incompetent? No, she's in that man's camp, and they need to remove her. I think from the 11th Circuit Court, they're going to try to have her removed. Correct. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
I think that's Judge Cannon.
Yes, that's her name.
Is the one who's stalling things out with when it comes to the it's so many different trials with Trump. I think that's the document trial, right? The illegal document trial, him having the illegal White House files. I
know it's dealing with the with the brother who the what's the man name who is the one who's the special counsel.
Jack Smith.
That's the case. It's the Jack Smith case. So it is probably the okay.
So again, it's so many cases.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep up with all of them because they are, some are getting very in-depth, and then others like this one is trying to help the former president, not get in trouble. But again, this is what we're dealing with. It's always been a two-tiered criminal justice system, one where the lower tier is for the poor people and one is for the rich. We have seen how this has played out. We've seen the president get waivers when he had to pay his money up in New York and everything. Again, but we can't get waivers. So again, they will lock us up real quick. So again, that's what we're dealing with. And I think just overall, to put my political hat back on, I think that's why I fight so hard to make sure that we don't go through another Trump presidency.
Yeah, but one of the things you want to fight hard for is you're going to get people off the couch.
Yes.
And you got to also, I was having lunch with someone and I was sharing with them, they're saying they cannot vote for Biden because of what's going on over in Gaza. And I shared with them, I said, well, not to vote for Biden is to vote for Trump. No, it's not true. But even this third party candidate, Kennedy, all of this is designed to make sure Biden does not win and Trump wins. Kennedy cannot win. No. He can't win. No, I don't care. He just can't win. But he has been put together. I hope the Democratic Party go ahead and use the information they have where one of the major big sponsors of Trump is exactly a major big sponsor of him, which really connects the bridge to the fact that they're working together and they're doing everything in their power. But I just hope people get like I remember when Barack ran and people just voted from everywhere. We really have to save democracy.
I'll say this. People are, and these are conversations that I'm having with top officials. These are conversations I'm having with voters all across this country. They've had me traveling. We have a voter fatigue issue. Mm-hmm. People are tired of the urgency of now because of how stressful these last 8 years have been. Mm-hmm. You have rising inflation where greedy corporations are just grabbing every penny that they possibly can. And rates for wages, right, are not going up. You have people who are fighting a $15 minimum wage. You have people who are fighting a $20 minimum wage. $20 minimum wage, 40-hour week is about $45,000 a year. Mm-hmm. That is not a lot, especially when you have these corporations who are bringing home tax-free dollars and making billions. Mm-hmm. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos are making billions of dollars and not paying on it. You have a lot of people out there who are struggling to make ends meet, who now have to pay more in their taxes, right? I have to pay more in my taxes than Jeff Bezos pays. Mm-hmm. That's insane. Right. Why? Because in 2017, they rewrote the tax code. Is it just going into effect now? Yeah, because they staggered it out in case Trump lost so that it would affect the Democratic president. And that's what we're dealing with right now. You have to also understand that it's not all just the president. He can't do it without the Senate and the House. Absolutely. It can't be law. This is the smallest margin. We're starting next week. We will have the smallest margin in U.S. history for both chambers, which is a 1-vote majority for both sides. Mm-hmm. That is insane. Mm-hmm. One party is Republicans in the House, one party is Democrats in the Senate. They have to learn to work together. And if they're pushing something for their parties, they can only lose 1 vote. Yeah, well, as polarized as we are now, they're not going to work together. You see what's going on with the Speaker of the House now, where Marjorie Taylor is saying that she's going to go ahead and have him out. But I do think the Democrats should save him if he agrees. Mm-hmm. This is something over to Ukraine. But if he doesn't do that, let him sink. Mm-hmm. Well, it's so many things, different things. We went off into several different areas, but I really wanted to make sure that we throw some things out there because I'm starting to get nervous. Yeah, I shared this with my wife as we were talking. I'm getting nervous not because I'm in a situation where I'm going to be harmed so greatly, but I care about people, and for Donald Trump to get back in, it would really hurt several people. Mm-hmm. And if we think we're having problems with churches getting getting vandalized and things, it's going to get worse because he's calling the people who did what they did to our democracy on January 6th hostages as opposed to criminals. Mm-hmm. That shows where his mindset is, and we have to really start thinking about it. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to come back and see what's going on with your corner. But before I go, no, I'll bring it into the last segment of the show because I want to talk about that Dance with the Stars, but I'll do that at the end of the show today. We'll be right back.
Greetings, I'm Representative Sherry Dorsey Walker of the 3rd District, and I am running for Lieutenant Governor for the state of Delaware. I have previously served on the Wilmington City Council. I served on the Board of Parole, and I am in my 6th year, my 3rd term as a state representative, and I am seeking your vote on September 10th, 2024 to be your next Lieutenant Governor. I believe I am uniquely qualified for this position. Please consider voting for me on September 10th, 2024. You can also become involved with the campaign by going to my website, www.sherry, spelled SHERRY, Dorsey, DORSEY, Walker, WALKER, that's sherrydorsey.walker.com, and you're welcome to make a contribution. Sign up to volunteer, host a party, join us for parades. But please consider voting for me on September 10th, 2024 to be your next Lieutenant Governor. May God bless you and continue to be a shining light in your life.
The world looks a whole lot different depending on where you stand.
Sure does.
From growing up in Wilmington to serving as a diplomat in a country devastated by war, starting 2 small businesses that created jobs, and teaching middle school math in neighborhoods that are too often overlooked and left behind. I'm Matt Meyer, and no matter where I stood, if something was broken, I've always tried to make it better. So when the insider said I had no shot against a 12-year incumbent, I ran for Newcastle County Executive anyway.
Gotta love an underdog.
Knocking on nearly 10,000 doors because our county looks different depending on where you stand, too.
Hey, Mr. Meyer, in our classroom, you always made us show our work.
We put the county checkbook online in the first 6 months to show where your tax dollars are going. We are making our county cleaner and greener, investing in early childhood and mental health services. Started 1,000 kids coding to give low-income students high-income skills. And we created the Hope Center, helping thousands of people get off the streets and into homes. Now, as too many families struggle with the rising costs of housing and healthcare, too many communities go without clean air and clean water. And our schools rank 46th in the nation. I know we can do better, because we should be a state where every kid gets a great education, where every family has a safe neighborhood they can afford to call home, and every woman makes decisions about her own body.
You got that right.
I'm Matt Meyer, and I'm running for governor so that no matter where you stand, we can all see a brighter future.
Don't forget the website.
And we're back. Well, Colby, what's going on with the Colby Corner?
Yeah, so first off, I want to talk about something fun, which is the community cleanup, which is for Earth Day that the city does every year. It is Saturday, April 20th. Starts at 9 a.m., goes until noon. I will be hosting a cleanup over the north side of Wilmington at the POW. We're going to meet and we're going to be cleaning up one of our a vacant lot across the street and across and all down the corridor and into the community as well too. The last 2 years we've had a nice group come out and join us. So again, everyone is welcome. We'll put the flyer up on the screen. And again, it's 3707 North Market Street. You can meet us there at 9 a.m. We'll have supplies for you. Just make sure you wear shoes or sneakers or boots. I would and long pants and long sleeves because we will be cleaning. There are weeds and stuff, so just make sure you dress appropriate. But we'll have trash bags, we'll have little pickers to pick up the trash and everything, and different things, shovels and brooms to sweep stuff up. Next, I want to talk about the Homeless Bill of Rights. We had a very long committee meeting on it. There was a lot of stalling tactics used to delay this bill. This bill does not create any new subset of rights. It just reinforces that if you are experiencing homelessness and you are a person who's unhoused, that you are not your rights are not infringed upon because of your housing status. There's a lot of misconceptions out there There's misunderstanding from different representatives who think that this will allow homeless people to sleep in front of businesses. No, this is not what this does. What it does is, if you're discriminated against, if you're trying to get an apartment but you have no previous place of residency that you can put down, you can be denied access to either getting an application to apply for that a place, which causes individuals to stay in this cycle of homelessness, right? And homelessness does not just mean you're unhoused, like one representative keeps saying, right? Homelessness has many different forms and shapes. You have the working homeless. You have the individuals who may not have a house, but they're couch surfing from family members to friends couching. You have individuals who are staying in a hotel room. Look, yes, it's a roof over your head, it's a bed, but you don't have a kitchen. You don't have the proper situation, especially if you have multiple kids. All staying in one room is not the best situation, especially if it's a motel. And usually it's not the nice motels or hotels. So again, and also individuals who sleep in their cars, kids who sleep in their cars. So again, this is what we're trying to address, to really make sure we start addressing homelessness. Where there has been steps towards homeless bill of rights in different states, we've seen a decrease in homelessness, and people are very grateful for that. And it saves the state money on the back end for not having to deal with healthcare issues or stuff like that, or even putting them in prison. So that is a huge piece of legislation.
So this legislation will cause them to not ask whether or not, what is their previous address?
Correct.
So
stuff like that, but also it's other things. So you, if you're violating, if you're breaking a law or something, you can still be kicked out of somewhere. But if you're just simply there because you're homeless, right, and it's a public place, you have the right to be there. You see all across the nation, individuals are introducing panhandling laws and stuff like that to stop panhandling. Well, the Supreme Court, even though I don't always agree with them, got it right for once and said, hey, just asking for money is a part of your First Amendment right, and you can't stop someone from asking money. Now, if they're harassing someone, that is different. But the vast majority of people, once you say, sorry, I don't have it, they may murmur something, but they're not going to attack you. They're not going to grab your wallet or something like that. So again, yes, it may be a conversation you don't want to have, but that does not mean someone should be criminalized like they have done here in the city of Wilmington multiple times, especially using no contact orders for individuals. That way they can arrest individuals and then cost the state more money in this prison industrial complex that we have here in the state of Delaware, which is one of the worst in the nation.
Yeah, and let me just say this to you. This week I had an opportunity to have a meeting over at the Hope Center, and I really am impressed. I got to give it out to Matt Myers and Carrie Casey, because they have an outstanding operation going on over there where they are housing and getting them into houses. You know, it's not just, okay, we're going to take care of those who don't have a roof over their head tonight and tomorrow, but they have all kind of services in there. Have you been in there? I mean, they have all kind of services, and I was just mesmerized to see all of the services that they are providing, and this is all done at the county level. You know, so I'm looking forward to see what he's going to do with the governorship. You know, if he can have this kind of creativity on the county level, I'm hoping that it would be just as strong. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, but I agree with you. Right, the Hope Center has been a bright hope for addressing homelessness here in the state of Delaware. And again, I do want to give hats off to Carrie and the work that she's doing over there. Even though up until Friday we weren't friends, because Carrie was also a participant in Dancing with the Stars. But no, it was fun and everything. But
I would
Carrie's
like to see that.
Carrie's doing amazing work.
I would like to see that. Matter of fact, I can't wait to get to that part of the show, because I would love to see that. Now you made me want to. I should have been there.
But my next point is both the Fines and Fees Task Force and the Reparations Task Force has concluded. They've made their recommendations and sent those reports to City Council. The City Council will have to accept those, and they should be publicized very soon, both reports. So please...
When you say have to accept, you mean they have to choose to accept or reject?
Well, accept different recommendations. So they would have to craft legislation and everything. But the report should be made public pretty soon.
Regardless of their decision or what they want to do.
Yep.
And do you think that that y'all have some recommendations in there that will be supported by this city council?
No, absolutely not. So part of some of the recommendations for fines and fees and reparations is ending inhumane water shutoffs for residential properties, especially in vulnerable communities, stopping foreclosures due to the lack or the inability to pay your water bill or having a huge water bill. Also, which I think is the thing that I pushed for the hardest was the Wilmington Reparation Housing Fund for African Americans here in the city of Wilmington to be able to purchase houses here and have that assistance for both mortgages, down payment, but then also for individuals who are still renting, because this is a majority renting city, having rental assistance, very similar to how DHAP operated. This would be the very similar thing here in Delaware, with 50% of funds coming from the vacant property fees and leaving it open to bring in funds from any other revenue sources for the city. But 50% of vacant property fees in 2021, 2023, or 2021, 2022, and it was projected for 2023 to bring in about $6 million overall. So that would be $3 million going into this fund annually for the next 30 years, with the addition of any federal funds or any state or county funds or private corporations that want to donate money into it as well too. So again, that's where we're at, and that's what we recommended. We recommended more investment into early learning for African Americans. So that is that critical 0 to 5 age range to help propel them on their educational success pathway. So again, that was just some of the takeaways that we got from the research. I wish we had more time like California did. California had almost 3 years to do the research in the report and start implementing things so far. But we only had 6 months. And I think we used that time as best as possible, but we could have done a lot more.
Gotcha.
And with that, and one, I know there's going to be pushback from people from all backgrounds. We had to look at what the city could do. Would I have liked to say, hey, give me $1 million check and give me, my 40 acres and a mill? Absolutely. The city economically is not in a position to do that whatsoever. So we wanted to make this as real as possible and as easy as possible to make it a reality for this city and for the residents to receive some help, some way, somehow here. We knew that when it comes to economic empowerment, housing, health, and environment, one of the best ways to address all 4 of those pain points is having a safe, affordable place where you can lay your head down, where you can raise your family, and something that you can hand down from generation to generation. This city has a long civil rights history. This city is the 12th blackest in the nation percentage-wise. So again, we know that currently right now, especially what happened in 2008 and 2009, or 2007, 2008, 2009 with the housing crisis, we know that we saw home ownership here in the city of Wilmington decrease. And we want to go back, but also we know that we lost homes here in the city of Wilmington due to eminent domain. We lost housing opportunities here due to deed restrictions in certain communities, in the Wawasa Park and the Brandywine Hills, all throughout the city of Wilmington, that said you could not sell your home to an African American, and it actually said a Negro, and most of them, right? And what happened here, we had a redlining map here. And I guess the only copy of it was in the archives and someone signed it out and never returned it, right? So we don't have the actual map now. This is what they tell us, but we could tell based on individual deeds where the different redlining took place at. We know that credit unions and banks here did not offer us a fair opportunity to get a loan or gave us a huge interest rate here in the city of Wilmington. So again, it was things like that that led to us wanting to really hone in on what we can do to address some of the issues. And we know that currently the city of Wilmington saw the highest spike in rent overall coming out of the pandemic on the entire East Coast, right? Wow. We beat Baltimore, New York, Philadelphia, DC, Atlanta, Charlotte, all these other states, Florida, Boston. So we know that individuals can make ends meet, right? We know that if you can pay $1,250 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment, then you can pay $850 a month if you have a mortgage. You just need help with that down payment. That is a huge lump sum, right? $50,000, $60,000 for some people, right? Based on where their credit is, right? It could be lower. It could be $20,000. It could be, 15 for others. But again, that's the research that we were able to put together and see where we were at and make that recommendation and go ahead and pass it. And as I think I was the only person who served on both task force. I just want to say that the people who were on both of those task forces, the majority of them were great assets to this process. The fines and fees, I really wish that the council members who were on that committee was more active and less emotional about feeling as though that taking raw data from the city's finance department and proving that the legislation that they just put up and that they fought for so hard, Maria Cabrera, was not actually impactful to the city of Wilmington. And all it did was increase fees for businesses, especially minority businesses that are already struggling across the board, except for Bacini Pollen, who has a nice cap you only have for your rental units, right? You only have to pay $100 per unit up to 100 units in one given building. What came right after that bill passed? 295 unit buildings being built downtown. So again, that's what we're dealing with. And that went into both the fines and fees, reparations task force, a lot of hard data I say people have to be uncomfortable with to digest and then start acting on some of those recommendations as we go forward.
Gotcha.
Next, I want to talk about an incident at St. George High School.
Yeah.
Back in October, there was a Halloween party at a private residence where a student decided to go as a hunter and his friend dressed up as a deer. And she was a deer, he was a hunter. He took that and decided that he was going to take the black paint that you put under your eyes when you go hunting, right? Football players wear it when you're out. Rugby players wear it sometimes to keep the sun out of your eyes, when you glare. He decided to take that and cover his entire face and his neck with black paint, put a do-rag on, and then take red lipstick and paint his lips. The school, teachers knew about this. Individuals in the school knew about it and did not act on it until recently when the school district was made aware of this incident. So there is an investigation going on right now, but I just wanted to bring it to light on the show to talk about it as well too. A student reached out to one of the advisors of the Black Student Union Summit that have recently happened and told them about this. And from there, it's kind of gotten more attention. And the school district is now looking into why this wasn't brought to their attention sooner, but then also why this student wasn't disciplined. He is on the wrestling team, and the head of disciplinary action at the school is the head wrestler or head wrestling coach.
Well, then there's your answer. There's your answer very clearly. And it's funny because I was a wrestler, so I love wrestling, but I didn't come up in an era where you just did wrong and allowed wrong to be done. So if they want to know why wasn't it brought to their attention, look at who's in charge of bringing it to their attention. Right. And they were more concerned about his career and what he would do in the wrestling side, that they did not pay attention to the fact that he have committed a great wrong, a great ill. That's horrible. And do you think any other teachers or any other persons knew about this?
So multiple students have said that teachers knew about it. I don't know, and some of them have said admin knew about it too. I don't know if they mean teachers viewing them as admin or the school actual administration team knew about it. But that's what I'm looking forward to seeing in this investigation that the school district's doing. But also, I do know a ton of parents have been calling nonstop about this because their kids have talked about this. There was a school assembly to talk about this as well too, and the students told their parents about this and wanted to talk to the NAACP about what they can do as well too.
Yeah, well, you said an assembly happened or students talked about it in school. What's the use of talking about it if you didn't do anything?
That's a great point. So it was brought up after it came to light.
Oh, after it came to light. So now we're going to talk about
that, hey, let's talk about this. Let's see what we can do about this, which again, I don't think is the right way to do anything.
No, it's not.
But again, once they did find out, they said, all right, let's work on it, which I get that. We have to do better when situations like this comes up. And like I was saying earlier, in the schools, it's election time again. You're seeing demonizing language being used to attack different minorities across this country. Like I said with Trump the other day, talking about how Black people are lesser. This is what we're dealing with, and we're going to see more incidents like this if it hasn't happened already. And what I would love to hear from the students is what else has happened in the school recently.
And which school is this?
More. St. George High School.
St. George.
VOTAC.
Oh, wow. That's right here.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to come right back.
I am Tony Prado, Communications Specialist for the Blood Bank of Delmarva. We are charged with keeping all 19 hospitals in the Delmarva Peninsula stocked with the blood products they need for various hospital patients. The only way we can help those folks is by convincing people to donate blood. It's something that we cannot produce synthetically in the lab. We need people to donate their time and their blood in order to make that happen, whether you're giving whole blood, double red cells, or platelets. And we'll take those products, we'll test them, make sure that they're safe, and then distribute those to the hospitals as needed, including in hospital emergencies, trauma events that occur in the flash of a minute. And we ask you to help us. Go to delmarvablood.org or call 1-888-8-BLOOD-8 to schedule your appointment. We're celebrating National Blood Donor Month to raise awareness. And as I said previously, we are asking people to donate once per season, whole blood, or you can do double red cells twice a year, or you can do platelets every 2 weeks. Whatever fits your schedule, it's a great way to get back to your community. Sit back and relax and donate some blood. And if you're like me, you don't have time to coach Little League or volunteer at the soup kitchen, donating blood is a legitimate way to give back to your community. You're gonna be saving lives and you're gonna feel good about it. I promise you. Thank you for your time.
Join us for an evening of unity and support. Come out to the Congo Legacy Center on Thursday, May 2nd from 6 to 8 p.m. and rally behind Sherry Dorsey Walker, candidate for Lieutenant Governor. This fundraiser
I am Kamika Lynette Bell, founder and executive director of Girls with Pearls, based here in the lovely state of Wilmington, Delaware. We are so excited to be celebrating 12 years of exemplary services, empowering young girls to be fearfully and wonderfully made. We are looking for your child of their ages of between 6 and 16 or 6 or 17. If you're looking for them to be change agents for a global community, if you're looking for your child to learn the power of dance, to learn etiquette, we are here to serve your child. Please reach us at 302-276-8337, 302-276-8337, or info@gwpearls.com. God bless you.
Hosted by family and friends of Sherry Dorsey Walker, promises an inspiring evening as we rise to unify. Tickets are $100. Please don't miss this opportunity to show your support and be a part of the movement. See you there.
And we're back. Well, Colby, great show so far today. And I just want to kind of end this show today talking about, I heard through the grapevine that there's a person running against the Speaker of the House, yes, which was really shocking to me. And believe it or not, that's the Speaker of the House, Valerie Longhurst. She's my representative for where I live at. So it's going to be interesting. So you know anything about who's running against her?
Yeah. So she has a primary opponent this year. Her name is Kamala Smith. And I believe she works in the healthcare industry or a healthcare background. But she's running on a platform of mental health, good government, and youth and education as her three main points. I believe she's a Delta.
She is. I heard that. Yeah.
Young African-American woman who's a Delta in the area.
Wasn't she on the same line, I believe, as our co-host? I believe she was on the same exact line as our co-host. And one thing about the Deltas, if the Deltas themselves vote, she could win because there's so many of them in this state. But yeah, that's very interesting. You have the Speaker of the House who got somebody must have said she's not doing what she needs to be doing.
I mean, you see these challenges of leadership all the time.
Okay.
And, in recent years, especially in the Senate, it was, quote unquote, a curse that whoever was the pro temp of the Senate would lose. Now, we haven't really had serious challenges for the Speaker of the House. Pete Swarthkoff has been the Speaker for the last 10 years, until recently, 11 years actually. He had one very serious challenge, Don Peterson, but that was it. Val Longhurst has had primaries in the past. I don't think they have been always as serious over the years, but she has been there over 20 years now at this point. So again, we'll see how serious Ms. Smith is. But again, she has a great credential. She has been a fellow at the Metropolitan Wilmington Urban League. Okay. She's a member of the Kalmar Nickel Board of Trustees. She's the social action co-chair for the Delta Sigma Theta sorority. So she has some connections to the community. And again, at the end of the day, any of these campaigns is about who gets on the door, who can talk to the most voters and persuade them if it's time to change or not.
Wow, that's going to be very interesting. I'm looking forward to following that one. And matter of fact, I'm going to be involved in that one because I got to vote for one or the other, right? And before we, I want to bring up about the Dancing with the Stars. I thought that was just funny, and Shanae is not here to defend herself. How did they do, by the way?
Don't get yourself in trouble. They did good. So we were number 5. They were number 11. We went right before intermission. They closed us out for the night. And they had a rendition of like hip hop, and it's a little old school in there as well too. Went through multiple songs for their iteration, but I think, shout out to Alex and Shanae. I think they did a good job dancing, and also I think they did a good job engaging the crowd as well too.
Oh, really? Now, how did you do?
Oh, I did amazing. No, it was fun. Again, I feel as though we brought energy. We engaged the crowd. To be honest, dancing, and I haven't got to talk to too many of the other teams about this yet, but like when you're actually out there on the dance floor, you see some things, but you miss a lot of it until you go back. But again, just having fun. It was definitely interesting because I danced with my boss. We were representing the Metropolitan Wilmington Urban League. But again, we had an amazing time out there. And it, you just sparked the energy and we could feel it in the crowd as well too.
Oh, okay. Now is your boss married?
No.
Oh, okay. So are y'all going to get married now?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
I just wanted to make sure.
Strictly professional.
Okay, strictly professional. Okay, so I want to make sure I'm always trying to hook people up. So I was trying to figure it all out. Well, look, before we go today, you have seen some of our commercials. Sherry Dorsey Walker is having a fundraiser at the Congo Legacy Hall, and it's going to be on May the 2nd, as a Thursday night, and it's $100 per person. I'm a strong supporter of Sherry. She got in, she walked what she talked. When she says she's going to do something, she fight. She does it. She makes it happen. She's not belligerent. She's not out there screaming and hollering and cussing people out, but she worked the room, and I give her credit for that. And all too often, African Americans and those of you who are watching me today, we want people to represent us, and we want people to have our heart and our best interests at heart, but we don't always put money where our mouth is. And she needs our financial support. And I want to make sure. Now, I know that this event is coming up, and I'm going to send Sherry a ticket. I'm going to pay for me and my wife. So we're going to send a donation for those 2 tickets, because I think that we have to start supporting people financially, as well as being there to knock on the doors, making sure we are talking to people. I am very much in support of Sherry, and she's just great. And I know that in this heightened political season, I'm very careful what I say and what I do, because I want to make sure that I'm not overstepping my boundaries. But she's one. Matter of fact, the other candidate, who is also a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, politely and respectfully asked me to endorse her, and I politely and encouraged in a nice way said to her, I am already in commitment to Sherry, because in my opinion, she's the person who has been there for us and for the people who I represent. And not only am I supporting her, but I really hope and pray that she wins. When she was in city council, she did well. She then left city council and went to the state level. She got so many. Who has more bills than her?
That I don't know, because someone may have more bills, but when you talk about impactful bills, I don't know if anyone has more impactful bills. And the issues that she has fought on have been issues that should have been addressed years ago.
Right.
And again, I realized that when she came in, there was a lot more African Americans that came in, but for her to take that mantle up and fight for some of those issues and address some of the injustices that this state has perpetuated over the years, I think is huge.
Yeah. So for those of you who are watching us today, I ask that you would please, why don't you go, you've seen the commercials, and it's going to be on Thursday, May the 2nd, at the Congo Legacy Center, 501 West 28th Street here in Wilmington. And the tickets are $100 each, and that's not a lot of money. Let's show that we can financially support people, as well as praying for her, as well as being there for whatever she needs from us. She is a friend to Wilmington. She is a friend to the state of Delaware, and we want to see her rise to the very next. As a matter of fact, one of her little slogans is "Rise to Unify." I'm looking forward to seeing her do that. She's been against the odds many other times, and she came out strong. And I'm certain that she'll do the same thing this time. So I hope that you will go ahead and give her a call if you have her number, but you can look at the commercials that we have been having. And contact her campaign and purchase a ticket. And I'm going to commit to make sure I am doing the same thing, because it becomes important that we don't just talk about who we support, but we financially support them as well. Colby, is there anything else you have on your plate for today?
That's all I have for today.
Yes. Well, listen, if that's all you have, we can't stay on the air forever.
All right.
So we're just going to say to all of you, thank you so very much for taking time to be with us today. And this is it for us. See ya.
Take care, y'all.